Right, guys. So today we're going to talk about classification in homeopathy. And classification is a method in homeopathy which is part of like the modern faction, the modern direction of homeopathy. There's a lot of people who say that classical homeopathy is obsolete and the methodology needs to be renewed. And one of the main methodologies being used today is changing the prescription methodology from symptom-based to classification-based. And it's gotten really out of hand because it's gotten to the point where basically people equate homeopathy with classification methods. But the truth is, classical homeopathy has nothing to do with that. And it's just a small cabal of people who wanted to make a name for themselves. They wanted to go down in history books as being like the main people of modern homeopathy, and so they devised this strategy to become like the leaders of the new methodologies. And my argument today is that modern methodologies in homeopathy are fake. Okay, I think they don't work, and they contradict the philosophy of classical homeopathy, the philosophy of the founders of homeopathy. They contradict scientific principles or the principle of the scientific method. So they are incorrect on many levels. So, like, if you're a patient, then I would advise you against hiring someone, a homeopath who practices classification homeopathy. And if you are a homeopath, I would advise against, going in that direction and practicing based on those principles. So, what is who is behind this? One of the main people is Jan Scholten, right? He is a researcher and has discovered the classification of minerals and plants. So basically, if you do a quick search or try to find a homeopath, most homeopaths nowadays are going to be practicing based on his classification method. But I'm here today to tell you that it just contradicts everything. Okay, it contradicts everything. First off, let's look at a quote by Kent. Kent is the father of homeopathy, the second father of homeopathy, and he says, "Why should we attempt to classify constitutions as an aid in prescribing? Every individual is a constitution, and no sick persons can be classified as of the same class to the satisfaction of any clear and observing and thinking homeopathist. It is a fatal error to classify constitutions, as no two are sufficiently similar when observed by a genuine homeopathician to form even a common class. Human beings are 1,000 times more complex than the chessboard in the hands of the most skillful players. Nothing leads the physician to failure to so certainly as classification." So basically, you know, the world has adopted classification homeopathy. Most homeopaths have adopted it, and most patients have just get the impression, or anybody interested in homeopathy, get the impression that that is homeopathy, and it's being presented as this is what homeopathy is, like the classification method. But first off, it contradicts the intention of the founders of homeopathy. Okay, so for instance, Kent. So it's crazy to have to take something which contradicts the basis of a science, the basic, the intention of the basic founders of a science, and try to sell it as, it's like saying Newton was dumb and acceleration doesn't work like that, and now we're going to contradict that. But the laws of motion don't apply anymore, and you can say that, and but there needs to be a scientific process of adoption of new principles and new paradigms, which didn't happen in homeopathy. Some people just appeared out of nowhere, out of the blue, and started saying that the way I reformed homeopathy is fact. This is what homeopathy is. And the whole world just, followed along without questioning it. And the situation today is that everybody is doing classification homeopathy. So that is very weird, okay? That is very weird. And it doesn't just contradict the intention of the founders of homeopathy. It contradicts principles, the principles of the scientific method. Okay. It takes away homeopathy becomes less of a science if you prescribe based on classification. Why? Well, because when you're classifying, if you don't know, there's there's a table, like a 10 by 10 chart or something, where you look up the remedy, you cross-reference the remedy, which family is it in, and then you get like a constitutional type or something. This person is an anxious person or something like that. And that is just a super dumbed down version of homeopathy, okay? Why? Because homeopathy is the science of individualization, right? There are remedy patterns. We have patterns of symptoms belonging to remedies, which you have to discover in patients. The individual remedies manifest themselves in patients in unique ways, but they can be recognized based on patterns which have been recorded for hundreds of years. And the recordings are, of course, based on like an empirical scientific discovery of the remedies of these symptom patterns. And so you have to discover symptom patterns in patients using a scientific method, which is very complicated. I don't have that much time to go into it. But you have to be discovering complicated patterns in patients. And that is true science, okay? It's an applied science. It's not like a pure science. It's an applied science, but it is science, okay? Just cross-referencing a table is taking away from the scientific nature of a of homeopathy. So why? Because science is about analytical thinking, okay? If you broaden the scope of analysis, you're saying that we're prescribing based on this vague, general characteristic. You're really broadening, it's a vague thing, you're broadening the scope, and that is not science. Science is about narrowing down and analyzing things to utmost precision, right? Like you have to analyze something to get a synthesis of something, right? You have to apply your science's principles and methods, and synthesize added value, synthesize something new, right? Or synthesize the result of whatever it is you want to find out. In homeopathy's case, we want to find out what is the correct remedy for the patient. So if you broaden that scope, right, you're just you're taking away the scientific nature of homeopathy. Okay, so I'm just like looking at this website. It's some material about the classification method. And it's like, group 1, lonely. Okay. Group 3, falls in love. This is, group 2, values magical thinking. This is horse shit, guys. This is not science, okay? It's someone who's trying to gain a following, trying to impress the world, and trying to become the next, figurehead for homeopathy. For marketing purposes, he wants money. He wants to go down in the history books as, the leader of homeopathy or something. And he will, because, as I said, nowadays, if you, as a patient, if you want to be treated by, we want to get treatment for something, you have an ailment, and you try to find a homeopath, all you're going to find is classification homeopaths. Well, that's one of, the majority of homeopaths you're going to find are classificationists. And then there's all the other ones. There's other types of nonsense homeopathy. I'm not going to get into that today because this is about classification. And so most homeopaths are going to be involved in this. So as a patient, you have a really hard time, and I feel sorry for you. You're going to be misled, and you're going to get remedies which are wrong. And sometimes, when you do homeopathy, you get wrong remedies, and you might feel a little better, and then you're going to think, this isn't so bad after all. But that's not how it works. And then so the grifters can dupe you, by just giving all kinds of remedies. So it's crazy. It's crazy. Be careful with Jan Scholten homeopathy, and also be careful with Rajan Sankaran homeopathy. He is basically like the superstar, rock star of homeopathy nowadays. And of course, he's also pushing classification based on not just, you know, the periodic table and stuff like that, but there are many other systems he uses. I'm not going to get into it. Yeah, it's a complicated topic. But I hope you got something out of this video. So thanks for listening.